Hans Westman here. We're going to continue with our introductions of Blender 3D software, this time working with setting up our render. So let's get started. We have our model that we created. We have set our UV maps, and we have also applied our textures. So if we hit Z and go to rendered, just so that we're in the right spot, you can see that this is what it looks like. We need to set this up so that we can get a proper render of this scene here. You'll also notice that I added a plane and have also applied another texture here. So it will be a little bit more complete as opposed to just this phone uh, being rendered in a 3D vacuum. Let's start out first of all by going to Add, and we're going to create a light. I'm going to start out first of all actually by hitting Spot. That's where we want to be. If I hit Z here and go to the wireframe, it'll be a little bit easier to see where we are. I can go and first of all bring this up, and let's take a look and see what we have here once we have lifted this up a little bit higher. Hit Z again, go back to the render. Nothing quite yet, so we're going to have to work with this a little bit more, increase the strength of the light. Here we have the icon for the data object properties, which would be the light that we're going to work with, and we can actually increase the power from 10 watts to 1000 and hit enter. And there you can see that we have the effect of the light, which is here on the side. So let's see if we can move this to a position where it's actually going to light up the object. Let's go ahead and move this in the X and Y positions. You can see now I have the light, which is here. And I'll lift it up a little bit higher. Again, should be okay. We can just go ahead and bring it over here. And then the next thing is we can bring it here. Looks like I've got that thing moving up here. All right. Next thing I can do is I can take this object, this little icon there, and I can actually move the position of the light. So there you see that I have it right about there. This is where I want it to be. And from here I can also determine how I want this to be, how the fall off is going to be here. Let's increase the power of this to about 1500 instead. A little bit brighter here, as you can see. So I think that is pretty much where I want to set this guy right now. And I am positioning this. Next thing I want to do is maybe add another light. You can see how this is all shiny. That's because of the attributes for the texture that I set. That's kind of like what I want the light to show me here. Actually, maybe I can move this light over just a little bit. So I'm going to move it over here. And then maybe I can move it over this direction like that. And another way, as opposed to using this one, obviously, is to do the rotate. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the outer one, which is the viewport option there. And then I can do the same thing here as well. maybe X, Y, and Z. Bring this down just a little bit as well. And bring it up. Once again. Like this. And then I can look a little bit closer here and see what I've got going. Alright, so this is a little bit more. I wanted to get a little bit of a reflection up here as well. Alright, so there we have that one. We're going to add another light too so that we have a bit of a rim on the back side. So let's go first of all to add, once again, go to the light. This time I'm just going to go ahead and use like a point light and hit the transform. You can see I've got it right here. So I can also increase this one to about 1,000, just so that I have this a little bit more intense. And we're going to see how we're going to manipulate this one as well too. So let's move it back a little bit over here. Bring it down just a tad. Like this, maybe. And now we're going to work with the there we go, a little bit more down like that. And then we're going to do a little bit of a trick here. So let's just go ahead and see what we've got going here. Alright, so let's go ahead and see how we can manipulate this guy so that it's a little bit different with that. You can see the radius. I can work with this. And by doing this, what I can do is I can actually bring it out and then soften it at the same time, which is kind of like what I want to do. I wanted to have this little rim right up there. And let's increase this to 2,000 just to experiment a little bit. That would not be it. 200 it was. 2,000. There we go. And actually the radius, we can bring it up a little bit more. Just about like that. I think that's where we want to be. Alright. So, just to do a little bit of a trick here, if you take a look at the dial, it's very transparent, and I want to change that just a little bit, and I can do that here by going down to emission. You can see that I've added a different color, and the strength would be the amount that the object is actually emitting light itself, not as just being self-lit, so to speak. So I want to add a little bit here. I'm going to go to 0.2, and it should be a little bit different now. So maybe a little bit more too if I go to maybe 0.2, 0.5, 0.25. Okay, so that's a little bit less transparent there. Okay, I think that gives me an interesting look so that we can see that it's solid, and at the same time it's giving us what we want to do there. Nice little reflections as well too. Okay, next trick is we're going to add a camera that we're going to be using to render this with. So let's go to Add, go down to Camera, and I'm just going to go ahead and change the name here by hitting F2 and changing it to Render Camera. so it'll be a little bit easier for me to find. Okay, there's my render camera right there. All right. Okay, so we're looking at this now in the viewport, and what I can do is I can bring that camera so I'm seeing exactly this. And if we go to the viewport align, we have the camera selected. View, align view, align active camera to view. This is what we're seeing right here now as far as the camera is concerned. So if I were to go up to render that image, that's what we see. And you aren't able to see the actual render because of what we have here, but that's okay. Let's go to the camera attributes as we have here. And what we're going to do now also is maybe change the focal length and see what happens when I do that. We have the type, which is perspective. That's fine. That's exactly what I want. So with the focal length, I can actually adjust it to where it's going to be. And then from there, what I can do is I can go ahead and go to the render image. So let's go ahead and do that. And here you can see the final result. And that would wrap up this section that we have been going through as far as doing our UV unwraps and then creating our shadings and setting up our final render.